Welcome back to another episode of the Reflection Hour podcast with your host, Sydney. It has been a little while since I last recorded a new episode. And in all honesty, I think the major reason for that is I really lost myself in the last job that I had. And I couldn't really see that until I actually was laid off. And I was laid off 2 weeks ago, but I found out 3 weeks before I was going to have my last day that it was going to be my last day. And I was not upset when I first heard about that. Honestly, I was a bit relieved because I'd been feeling like I really need to move on to something different, but I just didn't know what that thing would be. And I also was comfortable in my job, in all honesty. So when I heard news that I was laid off and that I had 3 weeks left of my job before I wouldn't be with that company anymore, it was relieving. And it really made me go down this rabbit hole where I was applying to a bunch of things. And even before I heard news that I was going to be laid off, I was looking at jobs, applying to jobs, interviewing for jobs, trying to figure out what my next step was. And while I don't have a full-time role yet, I'm in a much better place now because I'm kind of realizing how burnt out I was and also how much I really merged my personality into my job and how it was so all encompassing. And there's nothing against the company or anything like that I was once an employee of, but I definitely think that company, the people who get involved with it, have a tendency to really submerge their personalities into it and really forget about what it is that makes them themselves. And I guess that's one of the major reasons why I'm so happy that I'm not working there anymore. Again, I have nothing bad to say about my employer. It was fun while I was there. But if I'm being really honest with myself, I don't think that I was as much of a fit with that company as I wanted to convince myself. And it was a fitness company, and I would take those fitness classes all the time. But since I've been laid off, I haven't taken a class. And I honestly haven't really wanted to take a class. Like, I've thought about it, but I can't really see myself paying money to this company that just laid me off so I could take a workout class. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the ethos of the company is out of alignment with what's really going on. And I think that's a lot of corporations. I'm not saying it's just this company, but I noticed it. And I noticed that about a lot of fitness companies in general. I think they are a bit exploitative of their workers, and they really expect you to do so much and pour so much into people, and yet they don't pour into their employees. And I just don't want to be a part of that. Meaning, I don't want to be a part of the fitness industry because it has that tendency. And I can say that based on the fact that I worked with multiple fitness companies and they all have that one trait in common, okay? And I don't know why that is, why they believe that the classes should be so pricey, and yet a lot of the instructors, whether it's in any discipline, is not going to reap the rewards, but that is very much the case. And you almost have to drink the Kool-Aid in order to be a part of the fitness industry, because if you don't, then you're going to look at your paycheck when you get it and be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I realized. I was actually supposed to interview for another fitness brand today, but over the weekend and after I decided that oh yeah, like I got an interview with this company and this is so cool and I could be a studio manager and blah, 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 blah. As I was really reflecting on the job description and what they were asking me to do, which was not only be a studio manager, but to also teach 13 to 15 classes a week, the more I really thought about that number, the more I was like, I would be so burnt out if I did that. Like, I would have no time for myself, and sure, I'd be getting paid a pretty good salary, but it was nothing that was worth what I would be required to do in terms of my energy output. And when I initially applied to that job, I had a feeling that I was going to get a call back. And I was like, you know what? Okay, like maybe if I get a call back and if I'm in the interview, I can ask them, like, is it possible to do like 5 to 7 classes a week, and maybe presenting some of my evidence from the other fitness brands that I've worked, and how studio managers either don't teach classes at all or have very light class loads so that they have the capacity to truly be operating the studio to its best, whatever. But over the weekend, meaning really on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, I was like, if I already know that one of the requirements is not in alignment with me, why am I going to take this interview? I would be wasting the interviewer's time. I would be wasting my time. Like, it says on the job description what it wants. So the best thing for me to do is, if it doesn't feel like it's in alignment, I need to just not interview for that job, because clearly that job is not in alignment. So I ended up canceling the interview, and it was supposed to be today at noon. And I'm so happy that I did that, because I really decided that I don't want to be in fitness at all. I enjoy fitness as a client, but I don't enjoy fitness teaching it. And I think that's okay. I think it was necessary for me to go through fitness to learn certain things about the fitness industry, to learn certain things about myself. But just because you go through something or you did something for a little while doesn't mean that you are supposed to be doing it for the rest of your life. And that's pretty much what I learned. And now I'm back in retail again. And you know what? I enjoy retail. I think retail is the type of industry where it doesn't necessarily have to consume so much of your mind. And I really like that. You go in, you sell people clothes, you have some conversations, and then you go home. And if you're a manager of a store, yeah, sure, you're responsible for communicating certain numbers, but I don't even think that's that hard, especially since I was doing a lot of that in the fitness industry at the studio that I worked at. So it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And as I was transitioning out of my last job and thinking about what I wanted to do next, I found myself applying to tech jobs again. And I actually had an interview last week. And it's interesting because I had a first round screening call that was like 10 minutes, where the person that I interviewed with was like, you know what, I want to have a longer conversation with you. So then we scheduled a 30-minute Zoom call. And pretty much as soon as I got on the Zoom call with this person, I was feeling like this was not the thing for me. Like, I think when something is not for you, when you are putting so much effort into it and yet you don't feel confident about it. And that's exactly what was happening to me. I think for so long, I have really wanted to be in tech because of the optics of what it looks like to be in the tech industry. But I wasn't really paying attention to the type of person that I am and what I naturally gravitate toward and what I have fun doing. Okay? And if you're not having fun doing something, why are you doing it? And I think, honestly, there is this prestige trap that we all get ensnared in. And it's really horrible, because just because being a doctor, lawyer, or banker is prestigious does not mean that it is the thing that you should be doing with your life. And I could add tech in there, okay? These things don't necessarily have to be the way that you are successful in life. Sometimes you being successful in life, and most times, if I'm being honest, is you following your intuition. What is your intuition telling you to do? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but instead, you should just be yourself. Stop trying to change yourself. Stop trying to convince yourself that if only you were different, if only you were interested in this industry, if only you like to do that, you would be successful. You are successful when you are being yourself. That's it. And one of the major things that I've been running from is creating content, is talking to people and selling them clothes, which, by the way, is so easy to me. It comes so easily to me. And I think a lot of us, we really downplay the things that come easy to us because we have been conditioned to believe that life has to be hard. And if life isn't hard, then, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But the thing is, the people whose lives are hard, why would you want their life? Okay? Especially if they're miserable. If they're miserable and everything they're doing feels like they're pushing a boulder up a hill, why would you want to emulate that? And that's really what I've been thinking about when it comes to my life and why I've really been making a lot of changes. I don't want my life to be hard. I want my life to be easy. And part of this transitional phase that I'm going through, I decided to deactivate my personal Instagram. And I'm really happy I did that because I was definitely wasting a lot of time watching a lot of people and not living my life and not really tuning into who I truly am. And it's going to be about like 2 weeks that I've not had my Instagram soon. And I'm really happy about that. And I'm really considering keeping myself off of Instagram for a little longer. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll never get back on it. I don't really know. I do have my TikTok. I do enjoy posting to TikTok because I just like doing it. It feels like a very low stakes way to get a thought out there. And I really like that. But I don't necessarily love the idea of being so attached to my phone. And it's funny because with all the talk of AI and me actually being interested in tech, but maybe I was interested in it for the wrong reasons. However, I have been playing around with AI. I've been using ChatGPT, using Claude mostly these days. And I kept talking to Claude when I was at my other job because I had a computer, I had nothing to do. Oh my gosh, Claude, like, what should I do with my life? What do you think is smart for me to do? And it was giving me all these ideas and I wasn't really doing them. Like I started to do something, I had built a website, I had built out directions for agent teams that I would create that would help me with the business that I was creating. And yet I was procrastinating. And the reason why I was procrastinating is because that wasn't truly in alignment with me. It wasn't. And I knew it. And it's like, you can do things because it makes you money, but why? Why would I do that when I could instead do something that I genuinely enjoy so much to the point where it doesn't feel like a job and it creates so much value that it ends up making me money. And I think that's the approach that I want to take to my life. I don't want to do things just because of the monetary aspect, because that's soul sucking. That means you're always for sale. Versus when you do something out of pure joy and fulfillment, that is the energy you get back. You get more money because you're not doing it to get something. You're doing it because it's who you are. You can't help it. And when it comes to this podcast and when it comes to just creating content in general, this is who I am. I enjoy creating content. I enjoy talking to people, connecting them with the product that they love, that I happen to sell, or that I'm a salesperson in that store, whatever. And that's the kind of life that I want to live. You know, I do have dreams of having a really nice house in multiple locations throughout the world, but I don't have to pigeon myself into it has to occur this way. And that's definitely how I've been going about my life. I have been trying to control how things happen. And by me trying to control things and being horrible at controlling things, because you can't control the uncontrollable, I have only been causing myself more and more stress. And how many of us actually do that? You know? So there just comes a point where you really do have to surrender and you have to stop getting in your own way. And that's literally what I discovered, is that I was getting in my own way more times than not. And the only way for things to change was for me to change. And it can be a really tough pill to swallow that you are your problem. But again, you are your solution. And it's really just about letting go and letting God. And funny enough, this past weekend was Easter. On Saturday night, I went to a confirmation, but it was also the Easter Saturday service that was like over 2 hours long, which is crazy because I'm not really a church person like that. But I was going for a friend of mine's confirmation, which I really enjoyed. And it was just nice because I forgot how great it is to be a part of something greater than myself, whether that's religion, whether that's just believing in God, period. And I've really missed that. And I think when you are too invested in your phone and you don't really give yourself the space to actually tune into what your inner being is saying, what God is saying inside of you, then you can adopt all of these plans of like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And this is going to bring me to where I need to go. Hanging out with this person is going to get me to where I want to go. It's literally not. And you're only stressing yourself out. I was only stressing myself out. And I cannot stress this enough, that the less that you get in your own way, the better your life gets, because you're just causing so much resistance for what reason? No reason. The only reason that you create resistance is because on a subconscious level, you believe that that's how life is supposed to be. And in all honesty, that was the case for me. And maybe that's the case for you as well. Life is definitely a lot simpler than I think we make it, but I think there are a lot of people who profit off of you not trusting yourself, in all honesty. And I think for the longest time, or I know for the longest time, I haven't been trusting myself because I have been glued to my phone thinking that the people in my phone or on my screen know something that I don't about myself. And let's be honest, that's crazy. One of the things that I've been doing in my free time actually is I have been driving for Uber Eats. I've been doing Shipt deliveries. I've been going on walks and journaling. Journaling is actually something that I picked up again this weekend over Easter weekend. And I'm really happy that I did this because, in all honesty, when you write in a journal, on a piece of paper, and you allow your mind to just dump onto that piece of paper how you've been feeling, and then you go back later on in the future and you notice what are the things and the themes that keep coming up, it helps you way more than you asking ChatGPT or Claude what you should do with your life. And this is exactly what I'm saying about trusting yourself. We know so much more about what we should be doing with our lives and the type of lives that we truly want to live if we would only just get quiet and truly listen to ourselves. And when you're constantly scrolling on social media, when you're constantly asking people what they think, or typing into Claude, what do you think I should do? Here's my skill set. What do you think's the best way for me to make $10,000 right now? It enables you to listen to that still small voice within that knows exactly why you are here and what you are supposed to be doing with your time. Okay. And I think it really starts with the morning routine that you have. And are you getting up out of your bed and immediately looking at your phone and being in a reactive state? Or are you taking a moment to reflect and allow things to arise naturally as opposed to really forcing things to materialize? And this is why I'm taking more of a step back from creating my life, meaning I want to be more receptive to ideas and to be in this state where I can actually hear what would be a good idea for me to do versus willing things into existence that sound good, but if I'm being honest with myself, don't truly resonate. And that's definitely what's been happening. So this is exactly why I'm starting over again. And I feel really happy and positive about it. I think before, when I've been in this place, I have felt like my world was crashing down on me and that, oh my gosh, like I'm a failure. How did I get here? I'm doing everything right, and yet I'm still in the same place. But that is a bad outlook to have, because every time it feels like you hit a rock bottom again, it's not that you're hitting a rock bottom and that everything is terrible and like, what's the point of me doing any of the things that I've done? It's that you've learned something and you're in a different space mentally than when you were previously. And that's awesome. Okay. Like, I did not freak out in the way that I thought I would when I was laid off from my job. I was very calm about it, and I trusted that something was going to work out, which is why I do have a part-time job right now, working at a store, and I enjoy it. And I'm on the path to getting something even more secure full-time. But the thing is, none of what's happening in my material world is something that will ever take me out, because everything that is happening internally is what I'm projecting outwardly into my reality. And the same goes for you. So if you're a mess inside, your external reality can only reflect that. And so many of us, we think that, oh my gosh, if I just try this technique and I just apply to all these jobs and, I date all these people, that maybe I'm going to get the dream job and I'm going to get the dream partner. And it's like, no, you have to become your dream person inside. You have to become safe and secure inside. And then that safety and security is going to be reflected back to you in your external world. And I think far too often I've wanted to lie to myself and say, oh yeah, everything's totally okay. But it's like, what about my life is reflecting back to me the exact opposite, and the fact that I'm actually lying to myself, So you really do have to pay attention to the clues, the Easter eggs that your life is providing you about what's really going on inside. And you can either choose to ignore that, or you can heed its warning and make some changes. Because until you decide to actually listen to yourself, your life's not going to get better. You can do everything externally, but if you don't change the internal, the external is always going to reflect what's really going on inside of you. So I'm starting over. I'm really grateful. And it's so important for me and you to take this time and not rush things, because especially in this world, we are, convinced that things need to happen overnight, but that's not how life is. I mean, even when a woman gets pregnant, right? The baby isn't automatically born the day after conception. It takes 9 months and really almost 10 months. It's 40 weeks for the baby to get to a point where it is ready to actually exit the womb and come into the real world. So you need to give yourself more time. And I'm really talking to myself. Like, I need to give myself more time to actually develop into the person that I'm becoming, because through that patience, I'm giving myself grace and I'm really allowing things to unfold in the way that they're supposed to, learning things about myself and enjoying the journey, as opposed to feeling like, oh my God, this sucks. I wish it was that way. Because it just makes it so grueling, and life becomes horrible when you live it that way. So starting over is only as bad as you think it is. And it doesn't have to be bad at all. It could actually be something great. And I know there are so many people who are getting laid off right now who think it's the end of the world. But I promise you, there's going to be a point later on in life where you're going to be so grateful for the fact that there was a wake-up call as to, oh my gosh, I have not been living my life the way that I should. And I was not supposed to be working in that job. I was supposed to be doing something else, but I was too scared to do it. And that's genuinely the case. Because if that weren't the case, you'd still be working that job. You'd still feel like it was the best thing ever. But most of the people who are losing their jobs, if they're being honest with themselves, they didn't want that job anyway. They liked the paycheck. And I think all across the United States, especially, things are changing. Systems are breaking. Look at our political system, okay? Things are not the way that we truly want them. And the only way that we can really make those changes is if we're forced to make a change. People don't like change, all right? Change is hard, but change is also inevitable. Change is the only constant. And when you can get comfortable with change, when you can be the type of person who actively creates their life as opposed to reactively creates their life and creates all these negative emotions around, oh my gosh, it was going this way and then this happened. Maybe that's a wake-up call that you have not been being. You've been doing. You've been a human doing, not a human being. Myself included, okay? Nothing is truly the end of the world unless you think it is. And if it is the end of the world, you're going to die anyway. So who cares? All right? I'm really excited about where I go from here. And I'm even more excited to be consistent with this podcast again, because it's very cathartic for me. And I don't know if anybody can really resonate with what I'm saying. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I stopped doing this in the first place, because I cared way too much about numbers and subscribers and followers and influence in the form of these numeric markers. But you have to do something because it's who you are. And that's definitely my approach to this now, is that this is me. So I'm just going to get on here and talk. And if you want to listen, keep tuning in, share this with a friend. I want you to know that you're exactly where you need to be. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be there. So if you liked this episode, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next episode. Make sure you take time to reflect every single day and know that when you pour into you, your external world has no other option than to reflect that back to you. I love you all so much, and I will see you all in the next episode.